Have you been feeling more forgetful lately? Have you had that tingling feeling in your hands, sudden mood swings, or even that constant fatigue that just won't go away? If you're over 60, pay close attention. These symptoms might seem like normal signs of aging. But what if I told you they could be linked to the lack of a single vitamin? A vitamin that almost no one talks about, but that could make a big difference for your brain, heart, nervous system, and even your mood. Today I'm going to show you 7 common health problems after 60 that may be connected to a deficiency in vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine. And more than that, I'll explain how this vitamin can help prevent or ease conditions that scare a lot of people, like Alzheimer's, depression, heart disease, and even problems in your hands and feet. But pay attention, this information is urgent, because the more time goes by, the harder it is to recover what was lost. That's why you should watch until the end, because in the final part, I'll share a key tip for anyone who wants to take this vitamin safely without risks. And if you want to keep getting clear and helpful content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Let's grow older together, with health, knowledge, and independence. After 60, it's common to start forgetting small things. Sometimes it's a name that slips your mind, an appointment you miss, or that classic question, where did I leave my glasses? A lot of people see this as just a normal part of aging. But what if I told you that this slowness to remember might be the first warning sign that your brain needs help? What most people don't know is that a lack of vitamin B6 or pyridoxine can speed up this memory loss. And here's the thing, this problem is more common than you think, even in people who eat well. That's because, as time goes by, the body loses some of its ability to absorb nutrients, and vitamin B6 is one of the ones most affected by this silent loss. B6 plays a key role in the production of neurotransmitters, the chemicals that carry messages between brain cells. It also helps regulate levels of homocysteine, an amino acid that, in high amounts, damages brain blood vessels and raises the risk of conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's. In other words, when B6 is low, the brain starts to work in slow mode. A person might feel mentally foggy, have trouble concentrating, get irritated for no clear reason, and even struggle to follow a longer conversation. Sometimes the person doesn't even realize it, but their family notices that they seem different. The good news is that this can be reversed or managed with the right guidance. Studies show that when combined with vitamin B12 and folic acid, B6 helps protect brain function and slows down cognitive decline. When supplementation is recommended by a professional, it can bring noticeable improvements, clearer thinking, sharper memory, and even more energy for everyday tasks. For many people, staying sharp and independent is their biggest wish after 60. And taking care of brain health is one of the most important steps toward that. Because having an active mind is what allows you to live freely, make your own decisions, and keep being yourself. Now tell me in the comments, have you noticed any changes in your memory in recent years? Have you ever felt like you were forgetting words or everyday things? I'd really love to hear about your experience. Now that you understand how vitamin B6 is essential for keeping your mind sharp and helping prevent diseases like Alzheimer's, I need to tell you something else that's really important. It can also have a direct impact on your emotional state. That's right. Most people don't connect sadness, lack of motivation, or irritability with a vitamin deficiency. But believe me, B6 can be a key factor when it comes to depression and anxiety in older adults. As the years go by, the body starts producing less of almost everything. Fewer hormones, less energy, and fewer neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that regulate our mood and emotional balance. And among these two are especially important, serotonin and dopamine, the so-called happiness hormones. Guess what helps produce them? Yes, vitamin B6. When you don't have enough of this vitamin, your brain becomes more vulnerable to mood swings, anxiety, constant worry, emotional fatigue, and even that feeling of wanting to be alone. It's like the world slowly starts losing its color without anyone noticing. And this happens more often than you might think. Many seniors feel this kind of sadness and assume it's just part of aging. But it's not. A B6 deficiency can be silent, but emotionally devastating, And what's even more concerning, in many cases, mild depression is mistaken for low energy or even laziness, when in reality, it's a chemical imbalance that needs attention. And there's more. During times of stress, grief, loneliness, or changes in routine, all common in this stage of life, the body uses up even more B6. In other words, the need for this vitamin increases exactly when someone is most emotionally vulnerable. The good news is that getting more B6 with medical guidance can bring visible benefits. Better mood, more energy, more motivation to connect with others, and even that desire to live that felt like it had disappeared. And all this without heavy medication, without side effects, just your body working the way it should again. So if you've been feeling more sensitive, unmotivated, or emotionally overwhelmed, don't ignore those signs. They're not weakness or overreaction. They're your body's way of asking for help. And taking care of that is an act of responsibility and self-love. Tell me in the comments, have you ever gone through moments like this? How have you been taking care of your emotional health? Share your experience. Because sometimes what you're feeling is exactly what others are feeling too. And opening up really helps. Now that we've talked about how vitamin B6 can help with emotional well-being, fighting depression and anxiety, it's time to talk about one of the biggest concerns for anyone over 60, the heart. Did you know that a lack of vitamin B6 can increase your risk of cardiovascular disease? And we're not talking about something rare or far off. Heart attacks, strokes, blood clots, and other circulation issues affect millions of older adults every year. The most worrying part? Many of these cases could be avoided by paying attention to the right details. And vitamin B6 is one of those overlooked details. This vitamin plays a direct role in regulating homocysteine, an amino acid that, when too high, causes inflammation in the walls of blood vessels. This silent inflammation makes it easier for arteries to become clogged, increasing the risk of high blood pressure, strokes, and serious heart conditions. But that's not all. B6 also helps with amino acid metabolism, which supports the strength and flexibility of blood vessel walls and promotes healthy blood flow. In simple terms, it acts as a natural protector for your blood vessels, helping to prevent dangerous clots that can cause sudden blockages. And why is this so important after 60? Because over time, arteries lose elasticity, blood can become thicker, and any internal imbalance becomes a real threat to life. And this is where vitamin B6 really matters. It strengthens your circulatory system without side effects, as long as it's used properly and with professional guidance. Of course, it's not a substitute for a balanced diet, regular walks, or medical checkups. But B6 can be that silent support, working like a protective shield, stopping small problems from becoming serious emergencies. Ignoring this vitamin can cost you, not in money, but in quality of life. Now tell me in the comments, have you ever had circulation problems? Have you ever had your homocysteine levels tested? Let's talk about it. Sharing your experience could help a lot of people take better care of themselves. Now that you understand how vitamin B6 protects the heart and helps keep your circulation running smoothly, I need to warn you about another problem that affects a lot of people after 60. That annoying numbness, tingling, or burning feeling in your hands and feet. Do you feel that from time to time? Well, it might be more than just tiredness or poor posture. These symptoms may be linked to a condition called peripheral neuropathy, or even carpal tunnel syndrome. And what many people don't know is that a lack of vitamin B6 could be one of the causes of this discomfort. Your body needs B6 to keep your nerves healthy and working properly. It helps transmit electrical signals between the brain and the rest of the body. When there isn't enough of this vitamin, those signals can start to fail. And that's when symptoms like tingling, loss of feeling, sharp pain, weakness, and trouble holding things can show up. In the case of carpal tunnel syndrome, for example, the median nerve, which runs through the wrist, gets compressed. People often feel numbness, especially at night or when waking up. Studies show that vitamin B6 can help reduce inflammation in that area and improve nerve signaling, bringing relief, especially in mild to moderate cases. The saddest part is that many seniors live with this discomfort for years, thinking it's just part of getting older. But it doesn't have to be that way. With medical guidance and the right B6 supplementation, it's possible to restore some feeling, reduce discomfort, and even slow down the progression of the problem. And this is really important, because when you lose feeling in your hands or feet, everyday tasks can become risky. Opening a jar, using kitchen tools, going downstairs, or walking on uneven sidewalks. The risk of falls, cuts, and home accidents goes up, and with it, the loss of independence. That's why it's worth paying attention to these signs and talking to your doctor. A simple nutritional adjustment can improve your quality of life and bring back confidence in the small things of daily life. Now tell me in the comments, have you or someone you know ever felt these symptoms? How do you deal with it day to day? Your experience could really help others going through the same thing. Now that you understand how vitamin B6 can help with tingling, numbness, and nerve problems, it's time to talk about something that often only gets noticed when the body is already worn down: a drop in immunity. And yes, a lack of B6 can also be behind frequent colds, recurring infections, and that constant feeling of catching something. As time goes by, the immune system naturally gets weaker. The body's defense cells, like lymphocytes, start working less efficiently. Antibody production drops. And then, what used to be just a mild cold can turn into something more serious. What most people don't know is that vitamin B6 is essential for forming these defense cells. Without it, the body is more exposed to viruses, bacteria, and chronic inflammation. And look, it's not enough to just eat well or sleep well. If your B6 levels are low, your immune system works like a poorly trained army, slow, unorganized, and late to respond to threats. That means more illnesses, more time stuck in bed, and less energy to do the things you enjoy. And this is even more serious for those over 60. At this stage of life, the body is already dealing with natural aging, often chronic conditions, and daily medications that can also affect immune response. In other words, the body is already overloaded. That's why keeping your vitamin B6 levels in check is a simple and practical way to strengthen your natural defenses. And we're not just talking about avoiding the flu or a cold. A well-functioning immune system helps prevent pneumonia, urinary infections, fungal infections, gut problems, and even the reactivation of old viruses like shingles, which, besides being painful, can knock down even the strongest people. Taking care of your immune system is also taking care of your freedom. It means being able to go out without fear, spend time with others, and enjoy life's small moments with more peace of mind. How about you? Have you noticed your immunity seems lower lately? Do you catch colds, the flu, or infections more easily? Tell me in the comments. Your experience could really help others going through the same thing. Now that we've talked about how vitamin B6 strengthens your natural defenses, I want to warn you about something that often goes unnoticed, but can directly affect your energy, motivation, and even your mental clarity. Anemia, caused by a lack of vitamin B6. When people hear anemia, they usually think of an iron deficiency. But there's a specific type called microcytic anemia, where red blood cells become small and fragile. And one of the causes can be a deficiency in vitamin B6. This vitamin plays a key role in producing hemoglobin, the protein in blood that carries oxygen to every cell in your body. And as you probably know, oxygen is what fuels your organs. Without it, everything starts to slow down. You feel more tired, weaker, short of breath when climbing stairs, and even have trouble concentrating or feel mentally foggy. The problem is that many of these symptoms are blamed on just getting older. A lot of people go months, even years, feeling drained and never knowing why. And even when anemia is diagnosed, it's often treated only with iron, when in reality, a B6 deficiency could be the real cause. In older adults, anemia is even more serious. It can increase the risk of falls, worsen chronic conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, and directly affect independence. Imagine not being able to leave the house because you don't even have the energy to get dressed. That's not just frustrating. It's a real blow to your quality of life. The good news is that this can be checked with a simple blood test and handled with the right medical guidance. The proper B6 supplement, when needed, can restore your energy and bring back the drive you thought you had lost. So if you've been feeling weaker, unmotivated, dizzy, or struggling with daily tasks, don't ignore those signs. They could be your body's way of asking for help, and sometimes the solution is a simple fix that makes a huge difference. Now tell me in the comments, have you ever had anemia? How did you find out? Did it affect your daily energy? Sharing your story could be an important wake-up call for others too. Now that we've talked about anemia and how vitamin B6 directly affects hemoglobin production, it's time to turn our attention to a condition that affects many people over 60 and often goes unnoticed for years: carpal tunnel syndrome. Have you ever felt numbness, tingling, or that pins and needles feeling in your fingers, especially at night or when you wake up? Well, that might be more than just tiredness or poor posture. These are classic symptoms of carpal tunnel syndrome, a condition caused by pressure on the median nerve, which runs right through the wrist. And here's something that almost no one talks about. Vitamin B6 can play an important role in easing these symptoms, especially in the early to moderate stages of the condition. Studies have shown that in older adults with a B6 deficiency, proper supplementation can help reduce swelling around the nerve, improve how electrical signals travel, and relieve tingling, pain, and even loss of strength in the hands. Of course, every case is different, and a medical evaluation is essential. But the truth is, many people live with this discomfort for years, relying only on painkillers or anti-inflammatory drugs. These medications may offer temporary relief, but they don't treat the real cause. And if the problem is a B6 deficiency, the body still isn't getting what it needs to heal. And in this case, time doesn't help. The longer the symptoms go untreated, the higher the risk of permanently losing feeling and strength. Simple everyday tasks, like opening a bottle, holding a glass, or brushing your hair, can become real challenges. And when those little actions start to require effort or cause pain, your independence slowly slips away without you even noticing. That's why, if you often feel this kind of discomfort or know someone who does, it's worth getting it checked out. Talk to a healthcare professional and ask about the possibility of a B6 deficiency. Sometimes, a simple adjustment can prevent future complications and protect something truly valuable: your independence. Now tell me in the comments, have you ever felt this kind of pain or numbness in your hands? Did you know B6 could help in these cases? Sharing your story could open the eyes of many people going through the same thing. Well, after everything we've talked about, from memory, mood, heart, nervous system, immunity, and even hand strength, it's clear that vitamin B6 plays a much bigger role than most people realize, right? But now I need to give you a warning that's just as important as everything else we've covered. B6 needs to be used with balance and professional guidance. Just like a lack of this vitamin can cause serious problems, too much of it can also be harmful, especially when people take high-dose supplements on their own for long periods. What few people know is that taking more than 100 milligrams a day continuously can lead to side effects, especially neurological problems like loss of sensation, numbness, and even trouble with coordination. And here's the trap. Since vitamin B6 is sold over the counter, many people assume that a vitamin is just a vitamin, and that the more you take, the better. But the truth is, too much of a vitamin can also poison the body. That's why it's so important to use it under the supervision of a doctor or nutritionist, especially if you already take other medications, have chronic illnesses, or a history of nerve issues. On top of that, a professional can evaluate whether there's an actual deficiency, if supplementation is necessary, and what the right dose is for your body and your lifestyle. Because everybody is different, and what works great for one person may not be right for another. The message I want to leave here is simple. Vitamin B6 can be a powerful ally for anyone looking to age with more health, independence, and quality of life. But like any powerful tool, it needs to be used responsibly. And to wrap things up, tell me something in the comments. Have you ever taken B6 supplements? How was it? Did you do it with professional guidance or on your own? Sharing your story might be just the push someone needs to seek help and start taking better care of their health. Well, if you've made it this far, it means you care about your health, and that alone is already a huge step in the right direction. Today we talked about 7 common health problems that show up after 60 and how vitamin B6 can be a powerful ally to help prevent or ease each one of them. We talked about memory, mood, heart health, immunity, nerves, anemia, and even taking care of your hands. Always with simple, clear, and most of all, useful information. But the most important thing to understand is that you don't have to accept certain symptoms as just part of getting older. Because many times, what seems like aging could actually be your body asking for more care. Health after 60 doesn't have to mean suffering. With the right knowledge and smart choices, it's possible to live with more independence, more energy, and way more well-being than most people imagine. So if this content helped you in any way, leave a comment down below. Tell me which of the symptoms you've experienced, or if any of this information raised a red flag for you. And of course, share this video with someone you love. Sometimes a simple tip can change the life of someone close to us. And if you want to keep getting videos like this one, with practical tips, clear language, and everything made especially for people over 60, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Every week, there's new content here, always focused on health, independence, and quality of life. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Take good care of yourself. And remember, aging well isn't luck. It's a choice, it's an attitude, and it starts with the right information. See you in the next video.